Welcome to AfterCLIMB. So today I would normally be talking about or doing a deep dive into some piece of our product, but I was recently on site at one of our customer sites and I found that they were doing credit card surcharges and they weren't doing them the way that they're required to be done. So I thought I would do a quick presentation for those of you who are doing credit card surcharges or thinking about doing credit card surcharges. There are some things you need to know. So let's go to the first slide here. So first of all, let's talk about something that's upcoming. Visa has announced that they'll be performing in-person audits to ensure that you're in compliance when you're doing surcharge fees or minimum transactions amounts. And that started in January. So they're going to be sending people to stores all across America to see if you're following the rules. First, one of the rules that we want to talk about is minimum transaction amount. So you can do this. If you can do this where you require a certain amount before they can charge a credit card. The requirement, though, is that it cannot be more than $10. So that's the minimum transaction amount. It can't exceed $10. On top of that, and this is really important, this does not apply to debit cards. So you cannot charge a minimum transaction amount if somebody's using a debit card, regardless of whether or not they put in their PIN number. And then finally, we get to surcharges, and the next slide, I'm going to actually talk in detail about surcharges. But I want to bring this next one, non-compliance fees. So, as I said, Visa's coming to town, maybe to a town near you, maybe to you. And if they find you in violation, the first warning is a warning, or the first is a warning letter. The second violation is a $5,000 fine, and the third violation is a $25,000 fine. And of course, they can also find you in non-compliance with your agreement, and eventually it could even take away your right to process credit cards. So be very, very careful and aware. Now let's talk about some surcharge rules. First of all, if you are in Massachusetts or Connecticut, your legislature has made that illegal. So you cannot charge credit card surcharges in Massachusetts or Connecticut. So if you are in one of those states, you don't even need to listen to the rest of this. Second, if you are wanting to do this, you must notify Visa and MasterCard at least 30 days prior to beginning your surcharge. You can go to their websites, and I've posted, of course, you can just go to visa.com or mastercard.com, but on the next slide, I'll post a little bit more detail of where to go. Then fill out the form to notify them. If you're considering doing this, you can go no higher than your average discount rate or 4%. Whichever is lower. So if your credit card fees are more than 4%, you are getting ripped off and you need to change credit card processors. So most of you, or hopefully all of you, would be at a lower rate than that. But if you're at 2.5%, you can't charge 3. You can't charge more than your average discount rate. And you have to keep reviewing that to ensure that you don't do that. So something you have to stay on top of as well. Another thing is that it can't be added to a debit card, regardless of how the debit card is processed. So if it says debit card on there, even if they don't enter their PIN number and they process it just like a credit card, if you charge a surcharge, you're in violation of the rules. So this means that if you're doing this surcharge, you have to have your employee ask them to show the card and verify that it is not a debit card. And a debit card will say debit card right under the Visa or MasterCard logo. And then you also must disclose this to customers via signage at the POS, and it has to be on the receipt. Now, these are just a few of the rules. The rules, there are more rules, but these are the big ones, the big gotchas. It has to be on the receipt, and then in some cases, this information actually has to go all the way to MasterCard and or Visa. So with all of this said, be very careful. And if you are really considering doing this, then you need to read your agreement with both Visa and MasterCard to see what their rules are, and go to their website and verify what you can and can't do. So with that said, here are the websites. This will, you can take it from here. We are going to be sending out an email to all of our merchants talking about these rules, showing my video, but then also giving some more content and some specific pages on both Visa and MasterCard's website to assist you. But I wanted to get this out there because I know people are doing it, and I'm aware that Visa, at least Visa, is going to start cracking down for those people that aren't following the rules. So this was a quick one. Thank you, as always, for joining AfterCLIMB, and we'll see you next month.